Good morning, everyone. I'm Dallas Kratzer. I'll be your host today, and we are ready to get started, I believe. Making sure that we have the recording on. First of all, thank you for showing up to our event today on the Adult Learner Community of Practice. This is a new project that we're launching from CPE, hopefully to better inform you about the things that are going on in the area of adult learners. And I'm your host. I will be leading this session. We'll have others that will get involved. I'm Dallas Kratzer. I am a senior fellow with the Council on Post-Secondary Education. My background is I've done a lot of work in the area of credit for prior learning, adult learners.
I don't think so. And then Tracy's was a couple.
Post-traditional learners, and have been invited to be part of the CPE team to expand the work across Kentucky and what we're doing. I'm also joined today by Dr. Lily Massa McKinley. She's going to be presenting here in just a moment. Good morning, Lily. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. Thanks, Dallas. Excited to be here with everyone.
Yes, excellent, excellent. And we have you, our participants here. So if you would, I've introduced myself. Lily's going to introduce herself in just a moment, but please introduce to us who you are by putting in the chat your name, your institution, and the position that you hold at your institution. And as you're doing that, let me do an introduction of my good friend and boss, Dr. Lily Massa McKinley. She's going to be presenting our spotlight for us today. And in our work, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Today, though, we need to start with our spotlight and how this all works with the COP, the community of practice. But Lily has just got a deep background in the area of education, just so many things. Lily, you're all over doing everything at the same time. I don't know how you do it, but thank you for that. And today, Dr. Massa McKinley is going to share with us about barriers, removing those barriers for adult learners. So let's just jump right into that. All right, Lily?
Sounds great. Thanks, Dallas. Hi, everybody. Also, just wanted to say hello to Lee Nimitz, our Chief of Staff here at CPE, who's also joining us and has been a huge leader of the adult attainment effort at CPE. So the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative, was launched several years ago with the purpose of really helping our campus partners come together to learn with and from one another to accelerate our progress on student success. And ultimately, we know that adult attainment is a key ingredient of our 60 by 30 goal in Kentucky for 60% of our population to hold a post-secondary degree or credential. We cannot get there without a significant increase in enrollment and completion among our adult population in Kentucky. So many of the pieces of the work of the collaborative, and Dallas, you might need to click the slides just a little bit more because there's some things that'll pop up. We really facilitate these kind of networks and opportunities for collaboration. We host an online community as well, which is called the Impact Exchange, and folks can share ideas, thoughts, resources. We also post a lot of resources, toolkits, playbooks, etc., for folks to explore on various priority issues. Go ahead. There's two more, I think. And we also, really want to bring to these community of practice based on the in-demand issues and priorities that you all are working on. What are the best practices, research, experts in the field? And that is honestly where Dallas comes in, because he is a national expert, and we are so fortunate to have him helping work on the adult learner strategy here in Kentucky, as well as a specific focus on both credit for prior learning, as well as supporting military affiliated students, military connected students. And also professional development for change management. So a lot of the work that y'all are leading on your campuses, it's cross-functional. It's really about systems change. It's about, the bigger picture of how all of our different areas are integrated, and it's this ecosystem of support. And that is a complex process. And so the collaborative is actually launching a new initiative called the Leadership Exchange, which is going to be a year-long cohorted model for change leadership for student success. And that is available on our website. I'll put a link in the chat here in a second, but just really want like specifically folks that are in your seats who are really trying to lead change across your institutions on a specific priority area in Kentucky to be able to access that kind of professional development and support. So the thing that I'm excited to spotlight today, and maybe I can even advance these slides myself, what do you know, is a new project that CPE is working on with Ithaca SNR. And it's called the Stranded Credits Project. It's really about, you know, the new guidance, the new federal guidance on transcripts and how that impacts adult learner re-enrollment. And so the project has several goals. One is to really better understand our data and to understand how the scope of this issue and how it's impacting adult learner enrollment. We've seen a decline of almost 40% of enrollment among adult learners over the last 10 years. And so we know that this is a really significant issue for them being able to come back and access post-secondary education and training. So we're going to be looking at stranded credit or credit-related policy related to transcripts, looking for opportunities, best practices for interventions and other things that states and other institutions are trying as they are also, you know, kind of looking at their policies from a new lens. And then we will plan to host an in-person meeting sometime this fall in October, November. The exact date has not been set yet, but that will really help us, I think, take our adult learner strategy and specifically this focus on adult learner re-enrollment with that students that may have a transcript barrier and helping really think, what do we need to do next and what can we do together? So there's two pieces of this puzzle that the collaborative and CPE are really helping Ithaca to lead. And one of those is we have sent out a survey to the chief business officers of all of our public institutions to better understand the policies, practices, and data, so the scope of the issue. And so hopefully we'll get that survey feedback in a couple of weeks. And then the second, and I've sent an email out to the adult learner points of contact that I have record of. And so those folks were invited to participate in about an hour-long interview or conversation with the Ithaca team so that they can ask more kind of qualitative type questions around how you're working on this issue, what is working for you, what are some new things that you may be trying, what are some barriers that you still see, and opportunities for improvement. So that is a project. It is currently active. If you have not heard from from your team or your adult learner team at your campus, please do reach out to me, and I will be happy to make that connection with our Ithaca folks. Just one note from the KCTCS perspective, I think we just went straight to the primary point of contact for the system office and not the individual campus level contacts. So we will, I think Kendra, I see you on here. So we will be able to hopefully get a good sense of how it's working on all of our institutions. So that's all that I have, Dallas. If there's anything else you wanted me to mention, I'm happy to do so.
Nope, I think that covers everything. So thank you for sharing that. This is how we'll do spotlights, and we'll talk more about that later on in our presentation today. But each time we get together, we'll have something to talk about, to present to you an idea, a concept from leaders in different areas. So you may be one of those folks in the future. We're looking forward to that. So you might be asking yourself, why? Why a community of practice? What's the purpose behind a community of practice? Well, what we're wanting to do is create a collaborative environment within CPE and higher ed in Kentucky so that we can share some of the best practices that we're doing, the information that we glean from the conferences that we go to, networking through discussions, and sharing our best practices. This is very similar to another project that I'm involved with, which is called PLA Network or Plan Network. And it is a national collection of individuals in the adult learner community who come together and just have discussions spotlighting a topic. That has been very successful. Dr. Kendra Winters Pearson, who is on the call with us today, is part of that collaborative. And we think that this is going to help us in Kentucky to do even more for our adult learners. So that's why the community of practice. Now, in this community, it is about sharing. So at any time you feel comfortable or you have a question, you have a concern, please either raise your hand, turn your mic on, ask the question. You don't need to wait for a question and answer time period. This is our community that we share information. Today, we're going to be really heavy on me talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. But as we continue in the meetings, it will be more of a discussion, a collaboration of events and things that are
Yeah,
going
my
on.
name's Maria Gallion, and my daughter is getting married in
Uh,
December.
Sometimes we don't mute, and I have some control over that muting capability. So I do that whenever I can so that we don't hear about certain things. So there you go. Why? All right. So the next part of the discussion here is why is it so important? Because it's part of our strategy. You all have seen this document, but we want to focus on a particular set of areas and on adult learners because that's what our work is all about. And we need to provide to you, there you'll see it number 5D, things of limitations to barriers. How do we overcome these? Well, by sharing information together in one location, we can do a better job at getting the word out. And you also have a place that you can refer back to if you forget it. I'm getting older. I forget a lot of things. Sometimes I just need to have one place that I know I can go and find the things that are important. And that's what this collaborative is all about. It's working to share information with one another because out of that strategy, we came up with the Moving Up report. And that report highlights some key things that we need to do for adult learners in our workplaces. And that's increase accessibility to higher education for adults, increasing institutional innovation, and then reinforcing those partnerships. And out of that report, we've identified certain areas that are key. This is part of that strategy, creating an environment where we can come together and talk about the things that are important, next steps, or things we're not even seeing on the radar, right? So the COP will address many of the strategic points that we've talked about over time. And if you came to the Student Success Collaborative, the spring collaborative or summit, you would have seen these same things. This is what's driving our work, and we're going to use this to continue to grow what we're doing from CPE and in all of our institutions. So let's talk about the structure a little bit. This is why we're going to do it, but the structure that we're going to use is a system called the Impact Exchange. Many of you are already in the exchange, which is great, and we need to continue to grow that. But the exchange gives us a place that we can house the different initiatives and activities that are going on. You'll see here on one of the panels there, one of the channels is the adult learner. This is where we will house all of the things that will be related to this COP. But there are other practices that are out there. The Student Success Summit was there. There are student basic needs. There are a lot of different channels. So when you look at this initial page, think of these as channels or lanes for information. And under our lane in our channel, we're going to be talking about adult learners. It'll be a repository for all of our activities, and it's available to everyone. Now, how do you get to it? You see it down there at the bottom. Click on that link. It would get you there. I will drop that in the chat later on, and I will email it out to all the participants. That's how you get into the Impact Exchange. And once you're in there and you click on that adult learner tab, you're going to see different bits of information. There's a mechanism for you to ask questions or answer questions, to provide feedback, which will help us to drive our discussions because we need to hear from you. What are the challenges you're seeing? How can we serve you? Right? What are the things that you want to share with others? For example, one of the things that I have found helpful is there's no way to know all the conferences that are going on. Well, we need to share those bits of information. What's a good conference and why should you attend? Or why you shouldn't attend. For example, there's a conference I like to attend. It's called the Council on College and Military Educators. And it's a great conference, but it's not for everybody. It's for some. So I can share that with you. You could take a look at it and say, this is something I need to be involved in or not. But the intent of that particular conference is to help folks who are doing military credit for prior learning to understand the format better. So you can share that information. If you look there at the under the search block, you'll see all, and then you'll see three icons. The first icon is the question and answer area. The second icon is documents. This is where we'll collect a lot of information, documents that are important to share with one another. Could be articles, it could be infograms that have come out, any number of things. And then the third dot, webinars and videos. So this particular webinar will be listed under there. If you go in that section today, you'll also find a series of webinars that Amanda Johansson and I did back in the fall on why is credit for prior learning important. We will have other adult learner focused webinars out there and videos. You'll also find a set of videos that I've posted related to how we can engage our workforce with credit for prior learning. And that came from CALE, the Council on Adult and Experiential Learning, which is a great program to be part of. So we'll be sharing this stuff. And there's also points of contact, how to reach out to one another. The collaborative, this channel of the collaborative is for us to share information. So please use it, get involved and learn from that. The other part of the event, I talked briefly about this. As we go through our meetings, we'll have the collaborative to drive the bus for us, but every session will have a spotlight event. And in that spotlight event, our intention is to highlight the things that are important to you so that you're able to gain more knowledge and understanding of issues related to engaging adult learners. It will be hosted through us, but conducted by professionals in the field, folks who are actually doing it today. Or we may have individuals that are coming and talking about a new way of collecting information or engaging students, recruitment, administration. But all of it will be focused on the adult learner. Topics that you identify as important to you and you would like to hear more about. And then we'll record those and we'll have those stored for you so you can go back and look at it, get the information, have ready access to the things that are most important to you. Today, we use the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative as our spotlight event. But next time, we'll have someone else. And here's where I'm going to ask you to help me. Figure out what you want to hear more about. Send me a note. We'll add that. We'll compile that data and then start socializing. Hey, these are the things that we think are important to this community. Vote on it. Let us know, and we will try to get the representatives for that area. One particular spotlight that I would like to do in the future is talking about military credit for prior learning. Now, this is the adult learner community of practice. Credit for prior learning is an element of that community, not the entirety. So don't think you're going to come here and hear credit for prior learning every session. No, we will have a number of different topics that are addressed in our strategy that we talked about earlier that we will address. So there will always be something that can resonate with what you're doing in your workplace. Another part of the structure will be an open round of discussion. We call it the lightning round. In the lightning round, this is about you, your questions and interest and how we can serve you or how you can help others and how others might be able to help you. So in that lightning round, it'll be no PowerPoint slides. It will just be everybody on the screen and we'll talk about the things that are important to you. Occasionally, we'll have some driving comments to push it in a direction, but come prepared. Think about it in advance. What do you want to talk about in the area of adult learning during this session? Most of the time we'll have a focus area that we want to drill down on, but today it's going to be a general discussion. How, what, where, why are we doing these things? And I want to hear your feedback because it helps us to make sure that we're using your time well, and we're investing in the things that you want us to invest in. The last thing we all want are meetings that are not important, right? So with that, let's move into the lightning round for a minute, and let's just have some discussion here about what you're seeing and thinking about what we're doing, right? So we're all back on the big screen. Share your thoughts with me. Raise your hand, turn your mic on, whatever works best for you. And we're all academics in some way, shape, or form. So if you flinch, I might call on you and say, hey, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm excited. I think this is a great way to collaborate and to learn more about what everybody's doing. So excited for the potential and ready to get in.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelley. And since Shelley is not shy, Shelley, let me ask you a question. What are you hoping to get out of this?
I think just like I said earlier, so my background is 20 years in nonprofit, and I had some worked at colleges for 10 years of that too, but just to learn more. I mean, I think we're always evolving and changing, and new things are coming out, and just a good way to stay on top of what's going on. And I love the idea of the conferences because you don't know what you don't know. So having that platform of here it is.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like that. You don't know what you don't know. All right. And there are a lot of things that are going on in this world, in the adult learner world, that we can be amazed at. I just had a situation earlier this week. I learned about this program called Win Learning. So I want to get schooled up on that. Dee, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm always excited about anything that's gonna advance our adult learners, especially in an innovative way, as working with the Student Success Collaborative, even at the Student Success Summit. Heard some great takeaways on some things that are already in motion. So I'm excited to be a part of this process, and I'm here to help in any way that I can.
Fantastic. Well, we will ask you to help out in many ways, I'm sure. Thanks for being here today. Go ahead, Ruth.
I think this is going to be a great community. I look forward to working with people. One of the things I'd love some more information on is how we can better communicate to adult learners the programs that we offer for them. So many of them are non-traditional students, and they don't know that they could they could complete a degree online or part-time and sort of work on it slowly and gradually. How do we get that information out to students who have graduated with an associate's degree so they can move up to a bachelor's degree? And how do we communicate with students who have, for whatever reason, dropped out, and we'd like to get them back in and finishing their degrees?
Great comments. I think we can definitely address some of those things. There's an interesting report out by CALE, and I'm a huge CALE fan. I'm a CALE ambassador. The CALE is the Council on Adult and Experiential Learning. They are the leaders in the credit for prior learning nationally, if not internationally. And they did a research report about engaging the adult learner, particularly through credit for prior learning. That's their area of expertise, making the very comments that you talked about. So Ruth, maybe we'll have a session on that, but I will post that document that they published back in January of 22 out in our documents section of the Impact Exchange. So you can go out there and get that and pull it down. One of the most interesting facts that they found out was that potential students who were aware of credit for prior learning, 84% of them said it would influence where they went to school if the school offered credit for prior learning or not, and that they would choose a school that offered credit for prior learning because of the advantage and how it accelerates their degree completion. So your point of how do we engage them will be integral in that and help out. Lily, if you want, I think that's a great idea to open the Mentimeter and just pose a question out there. What are you interested in for the COP, for the lightning round? What can we address for you? Because Ruth, you kind of opened that up, right? So as the Mentimeter's coming up, you're
Yeah.
gonna,
Can you guys see my screen?
yes. Mhm.
Okay. If you've used Mentimeter before, it's really easy, but you just go to menti.com and then it'll ask you for a special code. And we are 212-0358. And then either on your phone or on your computer, you can type in, and if you're driving, please don't, but you can type in responses to some of these prompts, and it'll show everybody's kind of response together. And then we can also document then what folks are really kind of thinking. It's just a great way to kind of get everybody's thoughts, because I know it's hard in a large group. We have an amazing attendance today. So the first question is biggest challenge or barrier to adult learner enrollment. And this is specific to enrollment. And I've got a second question on completion. We've got funding, time, money and fundings. Money.
Always an issue.
Confidence, work responsibilities, lack of understanding, perhaps about the process, family obligations. Where do I start? Technology, conflicting priorities, confusing information. Y'all have some good ones. The value proposition, absolutely. Money is still pretty big. Past due balances, unclear goals, anxiety about ability.
You know, time is another big part of that too. I see it's getting bigger.
Yeah. It is getting bigger. We've had 30 responses so far. And I think, what Dallas and I can do is, there are a lot of themes here. So we'll pull out the biggest themes of what y'all have said related to barriers to enrollment and be able to kind of share that back out. Okay, we've had some good participation. I'm going to go on to the next one, and it should advance on your computer or your phone. The next question is, what do you think is the biggest challenge and barrier to retention and completion of their programs once enrolled? Could certainly be the same issues. Yep. Money.
There we are, money again, and life.
Work schedule, a lack of support. Modality, the value question even after they're in. Motivation, flexibility, life obligations, flexible course formats, the right kind of support, confidence, availability of classes, jobs. Life events. Lifetime and money, those are the big three right now. ROI. Wow, 48 responses. Okay, excellent. All right, we're going to move to the next question.
Fantastic.
And this one is kind of back to a question, Dallas, you already asked, but just want to make sure we're capturing everybody's insights or thoughts on this. What do you think are the biggest things that you hope to get out of participating in this community of practice? Resources, wisdom, connections, shared experiences, practices, ideas.
I like that collective wisdom. That's a good one.
Problem solving, absolutely. Resources and innovative ideas, networking, more than just an echo chamber, real actionable items to help adults get their credentials, ways to get
That's great.
faculty, engaged, insight into
Uh-huh.
effective approaches. Oops, I think we have to, do I have to scroll? Oh, I'm scrolling. Creative solutions, ideas to overcoming barriers just discussed, course design for adult learners, new ideas to engage, re-engage adult learners, understand the needs of adult learners, a place to get help make partnerships and networking. Yes. Collaboration across institutions. Understanding what's happening around the state. Excellent.
Great comments. Great comments.
All right. Okay, last one. Now I want to know, what are the top priorities for discussion? And this will really help drive, I think, guest speakers that we can bring in, institutional exemplars that we can highlight, toolkits and resources that we can share back with you, topics for discussion to learn what everyone is doing around specific issues, community resources, pathways for adult learners, funding opportunities, effective outreach, retention efforts, student engagement, services for adult learners, recruitment, outreach, wraparound services, state level strategies, justice involved adults, faculty engagement, buy-in from universities. So many ideas.
Oh, many. We will have
Adult learner panel. You want to hear from adult learners. I love that.
that's great.
That should be the next one, Dallas.
Okay, I think we can probably do that, but we still need to talk about how often should we meet? Should we
Okay.
meet monthly or quarterly? Um,
This first spring, though, we have a monthly cadence, right? So there's 3
That's
that are
right.
currently scheduled, and so like really get us started strong, and then as we go into summer and beyond, kind of figuring out what works best for you all.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, the funding seems to be getting a lot of money and funding, a lot of attention. So we will try to put something in there on that as
All
well.
right. Thank you all for participating in that.
Great work. Great work. All right. I think you've given us a lot to think about, and I believe this is going to really create a great opportunity for us to do what you've talked about, sharing information. Lee, I see your hand is up. Jump in there.
Good morning, everybody. And this is exciting for me to see this big group of folks here. We have been working on adult learner issues, it seems like, for years here at CPE, and to see really some traction with the work of Lily and Dallas is really exciting. I did want to, and Lily, I don't know, I can't remember if you mentioned this, but there is attention being paid to the adult learner in Kentucky's performance funding model. And we are waiting on a bill to pass, which would officially include the adult learner as a key metric that institutions would need to pay attention to. And I was just curious if any conversations had reached you on your campus about this change to the performance funding model. We don't anticipate any challenges with passage of the bill, but it should significantly, I think, change conversations on your campuses about how you approach your work and how you reach out and support adult learners. So if anybody wants to weigh in on that, or any conversations on your campus, I think that would be good for the rest of us to hear.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you all. Sarah Conwell. I'm with Northern Kentucky University. I work in the Adult and Transfer Center. Lee, to your question, there's not been a whole lot of discussion about it. Obviously, our office is discussing it because that's the population that we serve. My question to you is, can you provide us with what the definition of an adult learner is, especially for the bill? Because I think that you will probably find various definitions of people who are here on the call. So I think if that alone is part of the discussion, I think that will definitely cause a lot of conversations on campuses, because that would probably require many of us or potentially CPE to change what our own definitions of an adult learner is.
No, great question. And certainly, I think that as we think about the challenges facing adult learners, it is certainly a broad swath of our students. Age sometimes doesn't, it's not the primary issue. We certainly have ways that we measure sort of what an adult learner is. It's generally a student who's 25 years of age and older. That is kind of what we're working with right now, although as we move into implementation of any new developments in the performance funding model, I think all of those definitions will be on the table. But at this point, we are looking at students sort of the 25 years and older age group.
So what do you think about that, Sarah?
It's different at NKU.
Okay.
We start at 21 plus.
Why?
Well, because traditionally our undergrad admissions office will only focus on students who are between high school range to about 20 years old. And with the definition of 25 plus, we felt that there was a large chunk of students that we weren't marketing to, that we weren't looking for, that we weren't necessarily keeping tabs on. And we felt that that was an opportunity for us to hit a wider range and a larger population of students. We have a lot of students who are full-time working adults at the age of 21, and they may not be captured if we're just looking at age 25 and above.
Yeah, good point. And I see EKU has the same standard. And Heather commented about students with dependents. Dr. Winters Pearson, want to jump in there? I see your hand is raised. Kendra?
And I am on the road. I'm not driving now. But if we have any financial aid people on there, I think financial aid actually has a specific definition of adult learner. So we may want to check with financial aid people, because that's probably how our institutions are tracking what our adult learner rates are. And our IR people, probably that's how they are also tracking adult learners, is by what the definition of FAFSA is.
Okay, good points. This goes back to funding. Sarah?
Hi, so I'm from U of L. Nice to see everybody. It's interesting here. So for reporting purposes, and I think enrollment purposes, we collect information for students 25 and older. But for application reading, for assigning to counselors, it's for students 20 and older. And I think that goes back to students who are coming in for orientation, students who are coming in who maybe have, didn't go to school right away after high school graduation, students who maybe, bopped out for a little bit. So we're trying to understand why students who are 20 years old are considered an adult when we don't necessarily collect full data on why that student at 20 is an adult when there's a gap between 20 and 25 in that reporting information. Am I making sense a little bit? I'm trying to piece this together. So
Sure.
right? So like for orientation, a 20-year-old who maybe is a first-time freshman doesn't go to, you know, first-time freshman orientation when really a 20-year-old could, depending on life experience, right?
Right.
But they're considered an adult, whereas a 25-year-old definitely could have very different life experience, but still could be a first-time freshman. So we're trying to figure out how to better serve our students a little bit, but also match up what our definition of an adult student is.
Right. And, you know, this is part of the challenge. Many years ago, when we first started talking about non-traditional students, adult learners, it was that 25 and above marker. And now things have changed pretty significantly. So maybe it's time to go back and revisit that. Great comments today on that. Let me take that as a tasker of a future discussion. Let's talk about how we need to look at adult learners in a new way. And the federal government is doing it, so we probably need to look at changing our language a little bit. So great discussion on that. Lee, thank you for bringing that up, and we'll move forward from there. I'm trying to read Amy's comments in here. She's got quite a long discussion on this adult learner thing. Amy, do you want to just jump on and maybe make a quick comment?
Hey, hi Dallas.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you. It looks like I'm not looking at you, but you are on my other screen. So
Right.
I really am looking at you. I was just researching the FAFSA as it relates to age. So I was just providing the information that I found on the website. And as far as I can tell, there's no implications of age in FAFSA.
So one of the things I'd like to bring up, it's a comment you'll hear me make often. I think I'm one of the few that uses this term, and it's the post-traditional learner. That's truly what we're talking about here. They are not going through the traditional method because most students are adults, but the post-traditional are the ones that have not followed straight on into college, into higher education from high school. There are other reasons. Sometimes it's a one-year stop out. Sometimes it's a work situation. They're self-employed or self-dependent. They provide for their own income and all of these things. So these are all the things that we have to look at in that community. And like I said, I'll take that as a tasker. We'll come back and we'll have a richer discussion to flesh this out and see how we can maybe start moving the needle on addressing more of these folks who are under age 25 as adult learners. Okay, great. Other thoughts or questions, comments before we wrap this up today? All right, I'm not hearing a lot, so I'm going to go back to doing my screen share to finish off our discussion. This is where we left off. The next slide is a really simple one. It helps us to make that connection. All right, concluding comments. This is about our community and what we can do to help our people. Most of us have been in that adult learner population at some point, if not still. So lifelong learning, it's important. The adult COP, you see me use that acronym a lot. I'm an Air Force guy, retired military. Acronyms are my world. So abbreviations, it just makes it easier in my mind. We hope that it will be an invaluable resource for you, right? For us to help our population. And join us as we continue the discussion. Get on the Impact Exchange, see when the next meetings are, get signed up for them, and connect. And with that, I think we're going to be able to get some of our time back for the day. If anyone has any other comments, please jump in now, because if you don't, within 1 minute, we're going to give everybody 15 minutes back for the day. Because my promise to you is if we have nothing to say, we won't keep going. Lily, I'm going to throw it at you. One last parting comment. Anything you got to say?
Great conversation today. Thank you, everybody.
Lee, anything else?
No, just again, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm looking forward to future conversations.
Same here. Great participation. We were up to 50 plus participants at one point. So great. Going once, going twice. Thank you all. Have a great day. And I'm looking forward to what we're all going to be able to do together collaborative. Thank you all. Bye-bye.